Today on the podcast, we have Brandon Lawrence. And so I know Brandon from a lot of social events and gatherings, and quite often we always get the impression that, the Brandon that we know is not the Brandon that goes to work every day. And so he works at Nike, but he's also doing a lot of entrepreneurial stuff. Not officially, but, I think from his standpoint, he has a lot of different skills that people could use to either further their business or pursue different ideas. And he's always available to help. And that's one of the things that I've really admired about him, especially because he knows computer science. And so he knows how to design, he knows how to work with brands. He has this wealth of experience that often becomes an asset for, people like me and other people that are off branching out in the creative industry. We joked around a little bit because I remember when I met him early on was that he always wanted to race me. Knowing that I play football, he always wanted to race me at like 4:00 in the morning. And it was just pure comedy. We definitely had some great memories. And so without further ado, let's get on with Brandon. Well, this couple called for help at a park, and they got arrested.
The police told me on my arrest.
Yeah, because it happened in it didn't happen in Portland. It happened in Hood River or something. Yeah, because apparently Hood River is shut down. They said you can't stay in motels, you can't stay in hotels. You can't. They said no discretionary visits.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And so
yesterday I was walking around downtown, but there was nothing wrong. There were old people walking, everybody was out and about. So
yeah,
that's wild that they're really cracking down like that.
Yeah, but I think one of the things is that things are probably worse than people are talking about. Because they're saying that doctors and nurses are under reporting.
Ooh, wow. So the last few days the numbers have looked pretty flat, but it's probably definitely higher than we expect.
Yeah, and so they said that after that, I can't remember if they done surveys or whatever, but they said that doctors are saying that they're underreporting the actual cases that are there.
That makes sense. Because to be honest, I was feeling a little too calm about Portland, the way people were out and about. I was like, this doesn't really add up.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. It makes sense that they're lying, holding it back so we don't get. Because everything we do now has a 2-week effect, right?
Yeah.
Because if everybody goes out, parties, they meet up with whoever, it takes 2 weeks to kick in. And then after that 2 weeks now, we're just seeing stuff from 2 weeks ago. People were still this weekend acting a fool. So once that hits, it's gonna be wild.
Yeah. This man. Hopefully people don't mess up my summer. That's just what it comes down to.
It's gonna be for a while. We're gonna be doing it for a while. It's not gonna be no joke.
Look at they canceled March Madness. They canceled NBA. They canceled the Olympics.
They're saying the NBA is gonna be back on, but they said it'll be I think first week of May or June. They're saying for the NBA, they'll bring it back. They'll bring playoffs back.
That's what they're saying. But don't 30-something guys have coronavirus right now? Katie got it. What are we really talking about?
My thing is these celebrities are catching it, but I'm not really seeing the real symptoms on them. Idris has had it for damn near a week now, and I don't see one runny nose. I don't see any tears. I don't see anything. No fever on him. Nothing. So it's if he has corona, the rest of the country needs to get what he has because his is the mildest form of corona I've ever seen.
Well, I think it's because it's that 2-week thing.
Yeah.
Because if he got tested and he just caught it, then
he got time.
we won't know. Like tomorrow he wakes up and this fool's over here looking all dusty and dying. And so
Coughing.
yeah.
Let's see.
For me, I think over the past year, I've grown increasingly interested in like not necessarily like who you are, but like what you do outside of like how I know you, like in like social situations.
Social situations is nothing like my day-to-day work.
Yeah. It's
total different personality, total different energy, total different. What you see is the release of the stress built up during my 9 to 5. You see the release of that. So that's cool. That's cool. All right. So what do you do? Push record?
Yeah. I mean, technically, I'm already recording because I screen record the thing. And so, but yeah, kind of just talk a little bit about, like what do you do? Like, because I know you work at Nike, but like, Nike has a whole bunch of different positions. So like, what do you do?
So, been at Nike for 4 or 5 years now. Started in a different field than I am right now. So I'm kind of in the middle of a shift because I came into Nike, was doing, I was focused primarily on performance. So originally I would come in, originally as a consultant, I would come in, be given a request or just basically ensure that whatever application, whatever endpoints, whatever service is hitting SLAs, which are service level agreements. And pretty much I would come in, see what the application can handle, and then I would test it with various approaches. So it could be either unit testing, it could be like full load testing, it could be just whatever they need. I would be just able to provide that. So it all depends on whatever they're trying to do. But I basically by trade can replicate what the average human would do, but I can do it in bulk load where I can pretty much spin up enough traffic to replicate 50,000 users, 100,000 users, depending on what the tool is, get them to go through various flows and pretty much see how the application handles under that stress and basically report back various KPIs, report back bottlenecks, report back potential issues that these applications may hit when the public actually sees them.
Okay. And so what you're talking about is you essentially like if we're talking about like something that like people can kind of understand. So like when we talk about Instagram, we have like bots and stuff that like build people's followings up and do likes and all that. And so essentially you do that for like Nike's apps so that they know how the apps work.
If they wanted me to, yeah, I could.
Okay. So I feel like there was a missed opportunity for you in sort of the IG space.
The thing about bots is the bot game is a messy game, and it's a game where I feel like you lose more than you win. So like you see a lot of people out here and they're thinking that bots are winning like crazy, but a lot of these companies are pushing hard to make sure that doesn't happen. So literally you see all these people where I know I'd see pictures of people in their houses with all these shoes, like, oh, I got all these shoes. And it's like, yeah, that's not really happening like that. It's not happening the percentage that people think it is. It's the game is actually getting more fair now, and the companies are starting to level up more. So like you'll see bot activity on like Instagram, stuff like that, but when it becomes a problem, companies will turn around and they'll give it the necessary attention it needs to turn everything back around and make the experience more pleasurable for the actual consumers.
Okay. And so you said that like you work with applications and you build them out from like start to finish, or you're working with a team, or like how does this all kind of like come to be?
I'll be brought in to the project, whatever point in the application lifecycle. I'll be brought in whenever they needed me, and I would just sign off on if everything is suitable to go to the next stage. And Yeah, do that. And if they need me to come back around for another stage or another release, then I'll do so.
Okay.
It all depends. Every company has a different approach to it, so it all depends. It could be a total different approach at a different company. It could be every week you're needed. It could be you're a part of the team and that's all you do day in and day out. You know what I mean? So it all depends on how much bandwidth the company has. It all depends on how much performance is key to that company.
Okay.
Because the industry started to begin to look at performance as a service. So that's been kind of like a major turning point in the performance industry. But now with everything going to the cloud, performance is kind of it's not on that high pedestal that it was. But I'm pretty sure everything will come full circle again, and it'll just come in another form where it'll become a pillar, but within the developer maybe. So it all depends how companies kind of focus and attribute it.
Yeah. And so like when you're talking about performance, like KPIs, all that stuff, is it really just how many people are using the app or how many people are buying things, or is it like an arbitrary thing, or is it something that like is like clearly defined?
It depends. It depends. A KPI can be unique to whatever the team or service or area is looking for. You know what I mean? Like you can make a KPI, and if it's critical to you and your team, then that's your KPI. Everybody has different KPIs. I never worked with any apps, so I can't. I like you refer to apps, and I don't really know. That's not my space. I'm more web.
Okay. And so I guess the difference is like when you mention like applications, there's like web-based stuff, and then there's actual like consumer apps. And so like you work more in just like the web-based stuff.
Yep. The consumer apps, total different ball game, total different framework, total different approach. So
okay. And so like what got you into this?
It'd probably be my college roommate. Literally was in school, and my college roommate was the one that introduced me to the right sphere of people and led me in that direction and told me about it, told me the opportunities that were there. I didn't believe him. And it was him. And now I've made a career shift, and he's made a career shift now too. So he's in security now. So security is huge right now. The security job market is huge right now. It's so under tapped right now with talent that literally they are dying. Companies are dying for people to come in the door with security experience.
Yeah.
And any cyber experience, you're literally the money. They're throwing money at you.
Yeah. It's really interesting because my dad was in law enforcement for a while, worked for the FBI and stuff, and so now he's bouncing from like Google to Gap to Facebook to now that because he's in California, and now that he's in now that the whole coronavirus thing is done going on, you know, like they call him up for, you know, like different contracts, and he's just down in like Bakersfield or someplace, and just you know he's doing pretty well for himself, and so he's just been telling me about like all the opportunities there, and I'm like, well, you know, I'm going into medicine, so I'll you know, like in another life, like it's
definitely the opportunities are endless. You just have to want it, and you have to be able to keep up to the continuous change. It's always changing, always evolving, and it's just do you want to keep up with it, and are you able to hustle to hack it?
Oh yeah, definitely. And so you mentioned that like your roommate sort of like introduced you to this. So like, what were you doing prior to that? Like, what were you in school for?
Finance.
Finance.
I wanted to get to the money. Finance. That was always my goal, to be a financial advisor.
Okay.
Yeah. Always wanted to, but it was interesting because when I went to school at the time, this was right when the country was going under basically a change of direction, and you had a lot of reform on Wall Street. So it kind of switched up the game and forced me to go a different direction.
Okay.
I got a little tighter as far as restraints go.
Yeah. And so I know one of the things that kind of like surprised me when I hit you up about like the AR app is that like C sharp or
Yeah.
like you know how to code and stuff. And so
That's the thing. I still need to look at the documentation that you provided me. I didn't forget. It's just the day. It's been so wild right now.
It's been crazy.
I have enough time quarantined that I should.
It's
look into it.
Yeah, it's things have changed with it. You know, and I'm a little more informed.
Nice.
And so yeah. Take a look at it and just see how far I got up to that point.
And the thing about the game now is anybody can create an app. Anybody can match up to these big companies, and that's what people need to start taking more advantage of.
Yeah.
The younger kids are, if you have an idea, you should be able to you can spin out an idea like that. And I feel like we're not taking advantage of it enough. I feel like we're not realizing that it's at your fingertips.
Yeah, I mean, I could speak to that because I made an augmented reality app, and I don't even know how to code.
Exactly.
Exactly. And especially now because I had on the podcast somebody that's like he's like 19-year-old black kid that's building a fighting game, and he kind of he's going to community college to learn computer science, but he's been working on his video game for what like 1 or 2 years. And so it's just, having the resources and the tools, and a lot of like the online courses and stuff are free right now because people need things to do, and nobody's making money. Like very few people are making money right now.
Exactly. This is a time to do that. Like, I found myself a little while back building websites, and I built a website for a local business. And I knew it was going to take a little time to like get the learning curve, but I didn't realize the actual issue was going to be heavier on the client's requests and the changes. And I kind of took that for granted, not realizing that was going to delay the progress of the entire project. So that turned into a lengthy project when it could have been done probably in a matter of weeks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Like, cause
if not days.
Yeah. Oh man. I was working on a project with an ancient web development platform.
Yeah.
Like, was it like not Joomla, but
Juno?
No, not Juno. It has an icon. It's like a blue like water droplet. It's
I don't know that one.
I can't remember it. It was horrible. Literally, the goal was to make really just like change pictures and text, and that project took about 3 months.
That's not so bad. It was
yeah. When you're working on just pictures and text, and you're going back and forth and stuff, it really spreads your patience a lot, because it's just frustrating. And so what do you like building like the websites on?
I was just using WordPress. I was just pumping it out on WordPress real quick, and it was just like for me, I'm more of like the aesthetics. I like the look to be clean. I like I was helping him with like more of like the logo being uniform and across the board. I was working on making sure that it matched up with his social media. I was just trying to leverage every angle and make sure when he did elevate the platform, it was across the board, that if a consumer was on Instagram, they felt the same. If they were on his website, they felt the same. If they were on Facebook, all the information was streamlined, and I just wanted them to get a feel of his business. And it was really a lesson. It was a good lesson for me not to take it for granted. So
yeah,
it was
yeah. For me, it's always been, I kind of like stumbled into web design too. One, because I didn't want to pay somebody to like build my own websites, and then people kind of just hit me up to just be like, hey, like, could you make me a website? Could you do this? Could you do that? And so over the course, you kind of learn what works, what doesn't, and what kind of clients you don't want to work with.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Like, and always having there the number of revisions, limit that,
Yeah.
and you realize that that actually saves you in the long run.
Oh man, that's something that I probably learned maybe 3 or 4 years into like building websites, where I'm just like, man, I just want to get this done. Like I'm tired of going back and forth with them, you know.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and so yeah, like so where I know you're not from Portland, so like where are you from?
From New York. Grew up, born in Mount Vernon. Grew up, moved around a lot, and right now am in Austin, or family is in Austin right now. So out there in Westchester. So right now it's very close to where the epicenter of this whole Corona virus is going on. So it's rough being here, knowing that that's going on over there, and they're
Yeah.
saying pretty much that half of New York's going to get it. So it's
Dang.
wild. Yeah.
Dang. That's rough. That's
Yeah,
rough.
because it's the closer you get to the city, it's so dense that it's almost like inevitable that you're gonna catch it.
Yeah. And I think that's when you look at maps, it's always going to be like off the coast and like the major cities, and then you look in like the middle of the country and there's like nothing.
Nothing, nothing. Yeah, the maps are crazy when you look at that, and you're just like, it's always right now. It's New York. We're focused on New Jersey, California, and I think maybe Florida is another concern too.
Well, Florida's always a concern for everything. Like
Yeah,
like especially with this cuz you got people just running around at the beach just chilling.
exactly. Exactly. Not taking it serious at all.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Florida has one of the oldest populations in of any state.
Yeah, but you got the kids doing the Corona challenge. They're licking toilets, trying to do the that
Oh man.
instead of trying to pick up a language, a coding language, or build this or build that, they're trying to lick toilet seats for the Corona challenge.
Yeah, that's only in Florida, you know. Only in Florida.
Crazy, crazy.
Man, it's so like what brought you to Portland?
Literally, it was the opportunity. I always wanted to work for Nike since I was a little kid, so it was just the opportunity.
Hmm.
I've always been into sneakers. Grew up like just a part of New York culture
Yeah.
to be into sneakers and just fashion. So it was just something I always wanted to do.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I remember doing a report on Nike and just the campus and everything, and it kind of stuck with me.
Okay. What like how did like Nike kind of come to be? Because often people were, like just working, filling out job applications, going to like recruiting events and all that. Was that kind of similar for you, or did things just kind of just like happen in a nuanced way?
Oh, it was more literally it was just by luck. It literally happened by timing, luck, and just by chance. To be honest, it was the company that I was coming in for, the consulting firm I was coming in for. I didn't know it was Nike. I thought it was somebody else. So literally just found out the day they gave me the offer. I found out that it was Nike. I thought it was another company.
Hmm.
So when you do consulting, you don't really worry about the company. You more so care about the location. You care about the pay. You care about what the program or skill set they want you to have, and you go from there.
Okay. Okay. So it's kind of just like a stroke of luck that you end up in one place or you end up in another place, or did you know it was like Portland?
I thought it was Portland, Maine, to be honest. I didn't realize that I was actually going to go across the country. I thought it was literally going to be like more Maine, and I was going to still stay on the East Coast. So I wasn't really paying attention because I was doing multiple interviews, multiple firms, and then realized it was actually Portland, Oregon. So,
Hmm. So you're just like, oh crap,
that's how the consulting game is. It's kind of like a numbers game. You put in your applications, you do your interviews, and then you wait to get back, and you're always looking. You know what I mean?
yeah. And so
Yes.
like when you got here, what was the biggest thing that sort of that was a culture shock for you?
That's a good one. Biggest thing that was a culture shock. think it was kind of the whole keep Portland weird vibe, and then like going out and actually seeing some of the weirdness, I guess, was a culture shock, and the lack of diversity that's on this side. Like the numbers are there in Portland, the city, but they're still not even there like that, like they are compared to a metropolis like New York.
Yeah.
So going from that environment to the West Coast it's a little different, So it took a little while to settle in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like at a place like Nike, it does kind of skew the numbers a little bit. Yep. Because everybody that I meet is everybody that's black that I meet is either working for Nike or working for Intel, or they own their own business, or they're like a consultant, or like they're a freelancer or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a mix. It's definitely a mix, but it's growing though. It's growing. I'm seeing the change. It's a slow change, but it's growing.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely tied to sort of a lot of the opportunities that are here that people are just becoming more and more aware of.
Yeah, I think just globally as a whole, it's just people are wanting to mix it up, and a lot of people are coming to the West Coast in general because they realize that it's just a nice scene. It's a nice scene out here. I rather the rain than the snow, to be honest.
Yeah. Although I do like a nice snow day, because I would like to take out my snowboard and hit the mountain a couple of times. But
I'm not with shoveling. I can't shovel anything anymore. I'm done with those days. Can't do it. I've shoveled too many days to start back again. Can't do it.
Yeah. I think I've only done that once.
Yeah,
I've only done that once, and it's. I think the farthest I'll go is like, running the car for like 20 minutes and getting a bucket of hot water. That's about as far as I'll go. Anything else is like, nah.
You can actually do danger with the bucket of hot water, because if the inside of the car is too cold, I had a friend that did that on his back window and it shattered the back window.
Oh dang! Yeah.
You guys should do damage with the hot water.
Oh yeah, that's why you gotta hit it. That's why you gotta hit it for 20 minutes and get that thing rolling. And then when you go, then you dump the water on, and then you back up and you just take off.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to do it just right off the bat.
Because I ran into the opposite situation where last time, remember when there was that like snowpocalypse thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was driving, and somebody had like a sheet of ice on their car. Yeah. And I went and picked up my friend, and we were coming down down I-5, and the sheet of ice flew off the car, landed on my windshield, cracked the windshield. And then it had like a small crack, and because we had the heater blasting, like we literally saw the crack just go from like my side all the way across to the other side of the car, and we were just like, dang.
Yeah, I'll be sick. I'll be very, very sick after that one.
Yeah, that was the most painful thing I've ever seen happen to my car. I was like, wow, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Because they can spot fix the small crack, but not the whole window. The whole thing is up.
It just doesn't work that way. And so you mentioned that like you're kind of in this entrepreneurial, freelancer, you're dabbling around in like freelancing a little bit. And so like what's really like got you into that, because you're working at Nike, it's like, so yeah, what kind of like led you to like explore freelancing?
It's just more or less about helping people more than anything, because to be honest, I don't really have the time like I used to. I wish I did have more free time to get into the mix and do that, but it's more about just helping people and giving back pretty much more than anything. So it's like you see a lot of these small businesses and they need the assistance to level up, because like right now is a perfect example to show you that if you have a brick and mortar store, if you don't have that web front, you're potentially losing out on sales now that nobody can go anywhere. So it's like if you're not in e-commerce right now, you're taking a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah. And so do you kind of just like work with people, or do people reach out to you and be like, hey, I need help with something? Or do you kind of see something in what they're doing that you kind of like reach out to them?
Yeah, it'll be more or less a business that I go to or I appreciate, and it'd be more so me trying to help them out, help build them up.
Okay, okay. And
Yeah.
I would imagine, because I do that pretty often. I would imagine that just kind of gives you just a sense of giving back and like paying it forward.
Yeah, I mean that's one way to see it. That's one way to see it. Definitely, for me, it's just helping these small businesses because I I'll go into a business, and if I frequently do business with them, then I definitely want to see them excel. I want to see them do better, and it's more or less for me just letting them know that this actual option exists that can help them elevate even further.
Oh yeah. Like, what is? Do you ever find yourself in situations where like you do that and you have the drive to like really help them, but then they're just not really receptive to it?
Of course, that's always going to happen. My biggest problem is that I sometimes see too big of a dream for them and even people, and I end up trying to project that on them, and then come to realize certain people they don't want to do that much. They don't want to go that far. So it's kind of like some people are just happy doing that because they're at that level and that's their passion and that's what they care about, and money is not the major motivator. So that's kind of been a lesson for me to let me know that people mature at their own level. People will grow at their own pace, and not to expect them to get this, be okay with this grandiose plan for expansion and be all right with where they are. And even slow progress. Some businesses appreciate slow progress.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's always an interesting space being in having the ability to level up people's platforms, but
Yeah,
also see that they're not really looking to level up the way that you want it to, or the way that it can be, you know.
exactly,
And it,
exactly.
and quite often it's one of those things where it's like, I got to kind of swallow my pride and kind of just give them resources that they would value, opposed to something that they could use in the future.
Yeah, I think it's more not even swallow pride. It's more about just finding that compromise where finding out what they want and then figuring out how to get them there. Because it's not my business; it's their business. So it's finding that middle ground where I'm actually I'm helping them add value and not hurting them.
Oh man, yeah, it's one of those things where it does pay to be a people's person. You
Yeah,
know, understanding how to like just have conversations with people and really see what they're trying to accomplish and achieve, because you could always go into something with all the hopes in the world and with the glossy eyed lenses on, but when stuff hits the fan, you'd be like, dang, this was a missed opportunity or whatever. Or
yeah.
you could look at it as just building a relationship with somebody or a business or an entity that will eventually grow over time.
Yep. Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so with everything that's been going on, like what do you have any like new things that are like about to pop up, or is it kind of just kind of just waiting things out?
In terms of what?
Or just in terms of like new projects that you're excited about, or new things that you worked on with other people. Yeah, kind of just anything.
Well, to be honest, right now I'm just trying to better my skills. I'm trying to use the time to up my skills and just learn new areas and just develop new passions. So,
Okay.
so that's been kind of a goal of mine.
I mean, now is definitely the best time to do it, because we got nothing but time.
Exactly, exactly. So just learning new areas and just dabbling to get a little bit deeper understandings of certain areas.
Yeah. And like what is one of like the biggest things that like you've always wanted to get into but haven't really given yourself the time to explore?
Oh, I would say, to be honest, I've always wanted to design T-shirts. I've always wanted
Hmm.
to design T-shirts, but I've never had the time or the energy to devote that to that solely. I've always wanted to like come up, create my own t-shirt line, sell my own t-shirt line, and just see how that goes.
Hmm. And why teachers specifically?
It was more or less to start with t-shirts and then build off that. T-shirts are usually are the easiest way to get in the game.
Yeah.
And then from there, expound on it, polo shirts, maybe button downs, and just kind of just experiment a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Hoodies with time, yeah.
I mean, yeah, especially now that like Amazon's a thing.
Yeah.
Like just being able to like get your hands on materials and tools are so much easier.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's I got to be able to touch the material. I got to be able to see how good the quality is, because one thing I would hate is to put my name and brand behind something that just is lacking in quality.
Yeah, that's and that's one of the things that really sucks about like right now. It's that any sort of projects for me, I make all my books, and so I actually go to like a paper store. It's like a paper warehouse that I have to go through, fill all the different textures of paper to make sure that like that's the one that I want before I make an order.
Exactly.
And I just can't do that right now, and which sucks because I'm trying to like release my next book within like the next month or so, and nice. I have to get all those things in place. But now I can't really do much, so it kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But wouldn't you just go with the proven materials that you've used in the past?
Yes, I would. The only problem is that this book in particular, it was the one where I wanted to try different stocks of paper for different sections of the book. Ooh. And so there's like a newspaper section so I actually wanted to have like newsprint for like to have that like feel of the newspaper, and then the cover has like a certain thing, and then like black and white and color pages have a certain feel to it too. And so I was like really excited about that.
Yeah.
But that means I have to like get all those different papers and try them out. They can, but yeah, they can. But
samples, but it probably ends up costing, or you probably have to pay for them to mail you the samples.
Yeah, you have to pay for them to mail you the sample and stuff, and some reps do, but they give you just like these. They give you these small like squares, and so they give you like a little tile, and it's like just to like feel the texture of it. And so quite often I've used samples, and I've learned that when you get a sample that's like 2 inches by 2 inches, and you be like, oh, I really like this, but then you get the actual sheet that's like 11 by 17, then it's like, oh, this doesn't fold well. This doesn't like do this. This doesn't do that. And so when I found out that there's an actual store I could go to, then I was like, boom, like this is exactly what I need. And so it's a new journey. You know, I'm learning more and more as I go. And
nice.
But yeah, like what has been because pretty much the way I know you is from like everything outside of like what you mentioned before. So like what has been sort of like the thing that's kept you in Portland?
I think it's the opportunity and potential that's there. I guess the opportunity that I've been given, and then also the potential for even more growth than what I've already done. So that's kind of like been my motivator, and also the fact that I don't like to say in life, like let's say if I was to switch gears, I don't like to ever look back and say I didn't try my fullest potential. So that's more or less my mindset to everything.
Okay. And so like what is sort of like the career path for you in what you're doing?
Funny thing you say that. I have discussions with I'll have discussions with mentors or just even people that will provide guidance. And when I'm asked that, I've come to realize that you can have a plan for your career path all you want, but the way life is and the way opportunities work is you kind of have to be versatile and ready for anything. So there isn't one clear-cut path for me. More or less, it's the growth and experiences I want to get on the way that are more important than the actual end game. I feel like the end game or the growth will come, but it's more for me right now focusing on getting those skills, getting those experiences under my belt as I progress and more opportunities open up.
Okay.
Yeah, I always feel like when somebody says I want to be this, you're limiting so many other options for what the potentials could be that it's almost like you're locking yourself in, and if you don't get that now, you're down on yourself or you're sad about that.
Yeah, and I mean it's really easy to sort of doubt yourself and get into that like imposter syndrome because of it.
Exactly.
To where you finally get an opportunity, then you're like, dang, I don't know if I'm really cut out for this.
Yep, because it's totally different than what you have in your mind. It's totally different than what you thought the next step should be. So yeah, it's definitely a rough issue that I see a lot of people have, because a lot of times they'll ask you, hey, what do you want? Where do you want to go to next? And it's like, I would love to do this, but who knows? The way life is set up, I'm probably going to get everything but that as an option.
Yeah. And then it's just like, dang, like, where do I go from here?
Exactly.
Okay. And so to wrap up, one of the things that like I am like I'm always curious about when it comes to like talking to Black people in Portland, it's like what is the blackest thing you've done in Portland?
Ooh, blackest thing I've done in Portland. I don't know what is. I guess what is the blackest thing you've ever done in Portland? I don't know what is deemed as a black thing. I don't know.
So when people ask me this, I often say like anything that happens at Rod's.
Yeah.
Or recently, oh yeah, like when you tried to race me. He tried to race me at 4:00 in the morning.
That's not even a black thing. That's just a male ego, a male ego flare from being young and just still thinking I'm young. That's more or less that, where thinking that I'm still young and still fast and still an athlete, not realizing that it's been years since I've actually ran track. It's been years since I've actually even lined up for 100 or 200 or anything, but still thinking I have it. It just goes to show you that your mind is still young, but your body ages and does not tell you that, hey, we're not moving the same way.
Yeah. And then Jay over here down in a whole bottle of Hennessy.
Okay. No comment. No comment.
But one of the most recent things is I found out that the Safeway and the Pearl sells frozen chitlins.
Oh no.
And the reason I found that out is because me and my girlfriend were going to get some coronavirus supplies. And
what are coronavirus supplies?
You gotta get the milk and the eggs. You gotta get you gotta try to get some toilet paper or some hand sanitizer or something. Gotta get the essentials. Oatmeal, man, like oatmeal is hard to find. Like oatmeal and flour, because because of bread, because you can't buy bread anywhere, and so people make bread.
Oh wow! See, I'm not big on carbs like that. My essentials are totally different than yours. My essentials are protein. My essentials are different forms of protein: chicken, beef. More or less, I'm thinking. I don't even care about rice. Maybe some salad, and I guess the little things that I enjoy, like little snacks, like Cliff Bars.
Yeah.
Got a lot of Pedialyte. Yep. And
did you ever that they have the powdered Pedialyte?
No, yes. I got jugs of Pedialyte.
Yeah, so what I did is I went on Amazon and I bought, I think it's like 80 80 packages of the powder Pedialyte.
Yeah.
And they fill up what, like 16 ounces.
Okay.
And so and I got that for like 70 bucks. And so
Okay.
for the price of like 12 Pedialyte bottles.
Yeah.
Like I got 80 powder mixes or 80 powder things. And so
I worry though, is that powder the same potency as the Pedialyte that comes in the jug?
So what I found out is that it's really concentrated.
Okay.
And so I tend to only use like half of it, because half of the package, because it gets really, like Pedialyte is, that mess can get like syrup. And
yeah.
So
to be honest, I've never drank Pedialyte, but I bought it just because I figured you needed it. I figured there's a time you need electrolyte, but I've never actually drank Pedialyte in my life. I always thought only for babies.
Yeah, it's well, they have the as I know a lot about Pedialyte because I I was a personal trainer, and that's the best thing to do for hangovers and cramps.
Oh, okay. See, for me, for cramps, it would be Gatorade. I'll just kill some Gatorade.
So Pedialyte is better for you because it doesn't have as much sugar and it has a lot more salt. And so like potassium, sodium, all that, like all the stuff that like your body is very grateful for. The salt to sugar ratio is a lot better. And so it's I think they've picked up on that. They picked up on sort of like that space. So now they made like a Pedialyte that's geared towards like adults for like activities and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely have to talk to you about diet then. I'm definitely trying to shred up, and I need to figure out a way to construct my diet so I can get the pleasures I enjoy, but also I'm able to shred without losing too much.
Yeah. That's one thing that, like, once I found out that as a doctor you don't learn a lot about nutrition, that became one of the things that I just kind of took on as like a side independent study. And being that like I played football and played in college and like pro and stuff like that, it you learn things about your body and you learn things that work. And so it's just let me know because when you started mentioning all that protein stuff, I was like, dang, you're gonna run through all that toilet paper. Like one thing for everybody that's listening, one thing that you need to know about protein is that it doesn't get processed very well, and it will run through you pretty fast. And so you need to balance it with things that will stay in your stomach for a lot longer. And so you want to make sure that you have a lot of veggies, but really a lot of like spinach and leaves and stuff that are unprocessed. And so if you heat that mess up and you boil it, and oatmeal, like oats, like nuts and oats, like
back to the oat.
Yeah, nuts and oats. Those are probably like the best balance if you have a lot of protein, because that stuff needs to sit in your stomach a lot longer for it to be processed. Otherwise, you're just flushing your system out. It's a tummy tuck tea for you, essentially.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna reach out to you about just about leaning out, because one of the things is always concerned about is just not, because I have a habit where I can bulk up really fast, but it's more about defining that bulk and eating so that I define that bulk a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that's always been my issue. I have no problem. I can get up to 220, 225, but it's like I want to do that in the cleanest way possible.
Yeah, it's like, what is that 220 made of?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a tough one.
One of the things that I always tell people is if you're worried about how you're picking up weight, gaining weight or building weight, make sure that you are staying as hydrated as possible, because that is literally like the make or break of hydration and sleep.
Yeah.
Hydration and sleep are the two things that are the make or break for any sort of like plan that you do, because when your body is hydrated, it allows you to it allows everything to work and function better. And so if you find that like you bulk up in your shoulders and that you never really fill out like your arms or your forearms or your legs, that could be a hydration issue.
Gotcha. That's a good one. That's a new one. That's a new gem to add to it.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm hitting the gym anyways right now with this. So work like I want to. So.
Oh yeah. Hey, do that push-up challenge, man.
Yeah, I've been, but not enough. Not enough.
Yeah, but I appreciate the time. Stay safe. Try not to go outside if you really don't need to, because people catching cases now. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, man. Yo, shoot me a link of this too, and be safe too.
Oh yeah, definitely will.
All right.
Yep. Again, I want to give another shout out to the Soul District Business Association and Flossom Media for helping me put this on. I'm your host, Stephen Christian. I mixed and mastered this podcast. I also did all the interviews. And if you see any of the stuff on YouTube, I put all that stuff together as well. With all the social distancing things right now, I'm producing this right out of my home studio. So if you have a chance, make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Medium at PDX Black Rose, which is PDX BLACK ROSE. And if you're on Patreon, hit us up on there. We would love your support. If you don't do anything else, definitely rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. And on top of that, be sure to share this with your friends. The purpose of this podcast is to highlight the movers and shakers in Portland that are doing things in the Black community. And by supporting this podcast, you're supporting the community as a whole. So with that being said, thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the flip side. The intro song is brought to you by Andy Stokes, and the outro song is brought to you by Spring Gang from Epidemic Sound.